The pool deck of the American Fantasy never smelled worse than it did first thing in the morning on turnaround days. Elsewhere on the ship, there was occasionally a faint sewage smell in bathrooms and staircases, but on debarkation mornings, the pool deck stank of spilled beer and regret, with those light whiffs of sewage and black ship exhaust floating on top like whipped cream on a sundae. Sarah watched as the ship's cleaning crew attacked the red, white, and blue confetti stuck to the ground, wheeling their buckets of soapy water inch by inch. Abandoned glassware and beer cans sat in sad clusters around the perimeter, overlooking the scene. Sarah didn't usually do back-to-backs, but her recently ex-girlfriend had gotten custody of their cat, so there was nothing to hurry home for anyway. An empty one-bedroom apartment in Queens was less appealing than one with a pretty girl in it. Lexi would keep the plants alive no matter how long Sarah was away. She wasn't a monster. She'd just fallen in love with a 23-year-old dog walker named Plum, and they were going to be very, very happy together. Sarah was staying at sea for as long as possible. She felt like one of the men who sang sea shanties on TikTok, a millennial lost in the wrong century. Turnaround day was impressive. The crew corralled 2,000 people and their luggage off the ship, cleaned every room, restocked the vast stores of food and alcohol, refueled the whale-size fuel tanks, mended anything broken, and then opened the doors to let 2,000 different people and their oversized suitcases aboard, all within the span of half a day. Sarah and her production team had to worry about their changeover too, but their charges were the entertainers, the talent. Getting a few hungover 60-year-olds and their guitar techs back onto dry land and welcoming a new group aboard was easy. She didn't have to wheel anything heavy down a ramp. Sarah just had to make sure no one she was responsible for jumped. It was hard to fall off a cruise ship by accident. During her tenure at Jackrabbit Productions, Sarah had started with the easy cruises. Broadway, some wellness and vaguely cultish spiritual leaders, though not environmentally conscious spiritual leaders, a narrow field. By the time Sarah worked her first heavy lift cruises, reggae, EDM, heavy metal, comedy, all the ones with the highest contraband rates, she was on track to be in charge. No one could do it forever. It was kind of like when Wesley becomes the dread pirate Roberts in The Princess Bride. Sarah was aware that someday she would pass the metaphorical keys to the ship to someone else, as they had been passed to her. Maybe that was true for all jobs in one way or another. It was just past 8 a.m, and her team was striking the things they no longer needed. There was still music blasting on the speakers, as if the ship could not stand a moment of silence. She could hear Lynyrd Skynyrd's Sweet Home Alabama playing for probably the 700th time in the last 4 days. Sarah would be glad when the changeover was complete and the soundtrack shifted to the top hits of the 80s and 90s. Sarah's walkie-talkie buzzed. "Yeah?" she said, squinting into the light. "Okay, send him up." Sarah's good assistant was going to a wedding in Cleveland and had already disembarked. For the next 5 days, she would have Tyler instead. He'd only been at Jackrabbit for a few months and looked straight out of juvenile detention, with a giant koi fish tattoo on his neck, though Sarah knew that he wasn't out of juvenile detention at all and was, in fact, her boss's nephew, and had recently dropped out of the part of NYU where you could major in basket weaving if you wanted to. Sarah kept her eye on the door that led to the elevator banks, and a few minutes later, Tyler emerged, his wide jeans skimming the floor, where they would no doubt collect errant pieces of confetti. He nodded at her, and Sarah nodded back. "Okay," she said. Welcome. Did you read the packet?" Tyler made a face that was clearly supposed to suggest that he had read the packet on Boy Talk, but in fact made perfectly clear that he had not. "Here are the basics," Sarah said, already annoyed. "These guys have sold millions of records. Millions. More records than artists today even imagine selling. Their fans love them, and we are here to support that love." "Do they even sing?" Tyler asked, scoffing, as if the most impressive thing he'd ever done wasn't taking his father's sports car for slow, supervised joyrides around a gated community.